Hello and welcome to my channel, and thank you for finding me. There is a reason that you have found this channel, and there is a reason that you have found me. So hello. I'm going to share something with you, and I'm going to keep this very quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. But just because it's simple and quick doesn't mean that it isn't going to be a heavy-hitting thing to say. Last night I couldn't sleep and I was up. I'm often in these kind of states of restlessness, astral travel. When I'm sleeping, I'm traveling into different realms, which is what we're doing anyway. But last night it was more of a real hard realization about the world and about humans and about where we're headed, and also very much about what I do as a mystic and as an astrologer. The thing that has been there in front of me the whole time, and me just coming to this total understanding now that what I'm about to share with you is a little bit scary and it's very unnerving. And it is the reason why most people try to evade astrology or run away from any level of astrology, because it challenges their own concept of control. And it challenges their own concept of free will versus determinism, which to me is the only thing that really matters in this world anyway, when you start to get down to the atoms of existence, which is what I'm very much obsessed with and very, very interested in. And I do use that word openly when you have a real passion for understanding the blueprint of the world and the divine. Something clicked in my brain, and for some of you, you'll already know this, but it's pretty interesting. And that is the fact that free will is very, very limited. Most things in life are already predetermined and pre-written in the stars, okay? And now you're thinking, well, what should I do about this? And then you look at your birth chart. Because the thing that I'm looking at when I look at astrology, the thing that I'm looking at you astrologically, is actually, in fact, the agreement. So your birth chart is your soul contract. That is what I'm looking at. That's what you agreed to be before you incarnated here. It's what you agreed to play out before you incarnated here. It is the blueprint of God. It is your soul contract. And that's what I deal in. So when you come to me, I am doing nothing more than reading that contract back to you. And how often do people not want to hear something that they don't want to hear? Do you understand? Okay. So when it comes to free will and control and determinism, you can't ask an Aries to calm down. Okay. But what the free will be is your attitude of how you see it, how you regulate your own nervous system, how you calm it down, and then how you make choices. Okay, and choices have a consequence, whether it's good or bad. It all kind of depends on your point of view now, doesn't it, in the outcome? Okay, so free will in this world is very, very limited. Humans actually control fuck all. That's the truth. We like to think we're so powerful, but there's this thing that I've noticed that humans do where they like to separate themselves from the divine. They like to separate things from themselves that they themselves are actually a part of. You are part of nature. You are part of the divine. And so astrology and divination is nothing more than an inward look at that, and an unpacking and a noticing of the types and patterns of energies, which is what an astrologer does. It's what I do. Okay, so all I'm doing when you come to me is reading your soul contract to you. That's it. If you don't have questions about your soul contract in the reading, then it will just be an overview of that contract. Okay, so that is what a birth chart is. I know that's hard to hear for some people because they're so focused on their own sense of control and power, but not understanding that it's more like a flea trying to tell a dog, a very large dog, what to do. Okay. And everything that we do coming from a choice, whether it's good or bad, there's really no such thing as a bad choice, really, because everything is kind of stalking us to teach us something. All that matters is whether we're awake enough to understand that or comprehend that or see that. All right. So that's really the truth, is you can't fight nature. You can't outrun that of what you are. And that is what astrology ultimately is. It is the study and the blueprint of you on all levels, physiological, spiritual, mental. It's all connected. Okay. So rather than fight that, why don't you try and understand that? You know, what's so scary about that? It's said that millionaires, consult with, astrologers, but billionaires have them on tap because they understand that once you understand what is cast out before you, you will be able to see the bumps in the road. And that is what divination is. Ultimately, it's a snapshot of your free will versus determinism. It's no different to when you consort with the cards. All you're doing is merging your energy with cards, and those symbols and those types and patterns of archetypes are showing nothing more than a reflection of where you are at that moment. You still have free will to a capacity, but the cards are showing the predeterminism that is already part of your soul contract. All right. So I know that sounds hard to hear and it's quite scary for some people to understand that, or maybe they can't understand that. But yes, humans really control very, very little. All right. So once you get your head around that, you can get your ego out of it. And then you'll be able to really understand that all you can do is regulate yourself. Okay. And when you understand yourself, then you can regulate and understand yourself deeper, which is what deep astrology readings are. So lots and lots of love and blessings to you. For most of you, I think you guys already know this, but that's really ultimately what astrology is, and that's what I do. So when you come to me for a birth chart reading, that's all I'm performing. Okay, I'm interpreting that to you because it is just something that I understand innately, but I don't really see it being worded that way. Okay, humans have this tendency to think that they can play God or that they become a God. But the truth of it is that you're living out the agreement that you agreed to in this incarnation before, a clump of souls merged with matter and spirit in the womb. That's what it is. And of course, astrology, when we look at those north and south nodes, they already tell us where you came from before. So yeah, that's why I'm so interested in this, because once you start to understand this, it's like what else really matters other than really understanding the self, and what is spirituality other than mastery of self. So, and also ego is the trap, because people will be like, look at how much I understand. Look at how much I've released. Look at how, and that's nothing more than ego again. Got you again. All right. Lots and lots of love to you. Book me if you would like me to look at your contract or your birth chart, and ask me questions, because I can look at that and interpret it. It's what I do. Before I go, I actually just wanted to come back and add one more thing. If you have ever seen the film The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, if you are familiar with that film and you know that the reference to this film that I'm going to share with you is a scene from this film, which perfectly illustrates determinism versus free will and cause and effect and outcome. And that is already, a preset thing. So I know this could be a hard concept for people to get their head around, and it can be quite life-changing once you really understand this. But when I was watching that film, I do remember when it came out, I had the privilege of sitting in a movie theater and watching the film, eating popcorn, frozen Coke, back in the day. And there is a very specific scene in that film, a sequence of events that happen that the film was communicating beautifully and effortlessly with such conviction that I came out of the movie theater, and the first thing that I did after seeing that movie was rebook myself back into that film again. There is a scene in the film where Kate Blanchett's character, she is a ballet, she was a ballerina of sorts, a dancer, and that was her passion. That was what she loved to do. That's what she lived for. And she was leaving her studio one night for whatever reason, from memory of this scene. If you know the scene, then you'll know what I'm talking about. And for whatever reason, she was in a hurry to close up her studio and leave. And for whatever reason, she was exiting the studio from the back of her, from the back door rather than going through the front door of that building. And at that exact time, when she's leaving, you will see a cab driver driving up an alleyway that is speeding. And the cab driver really shouldn't be driving up that alleyway because it's not the main road. But the reason the cab driver is driving up that road is because the passenger that they're taking is in a hurry. And the reason that the person in the back that's telling the cab driver to hurry and take this shortcut is because they're in a rush to get to a birthday party. And the reason that they're in a rush is because they're running late because the girl in the shop that was wrapping the birthday present that was a gift was actually in a foul mood, or she was having a problem with her boyfriend, so she was delayed, and for whatever reason she had to go and get more wrapping paper, which took time. And that time of sequence of events is what delayed the man in the cab, and then the man in the cab is influencing the man to drive down that back alleyway, which causes a moment in time to happen which changes someone's life path. It changes someone's life with a cause and an effect. So when you start to understand that behind every single thing, to a certain level of degree, is a series of events that are predetermined to play out and unfold. And so all of those series of events, with the cab driver being in a rush and him having to, deal with the girl in the shop, and then trying to get the cab driver to go down that back alleyway, and the one time that she needed to come out of the alleyway, everything that played out in that scene created a change in her life direction, or changed her life. And then when we look back at life, we actually see that there is so much complexities that are all playing out throughout all of our timelines and all of how we meet people and the timing that we meet people. And, if I hadn't have learned that thing, then this wouldn't have happened. And if I didn't learn that, then I wouldn't have gone here. All of that stuff is something that can be quite beyond the capacity of a human to understand. This is also something that you will notice, and it was actually also shown in a film called Donnie Darko. When Donnie was having a psychotic episode, the filter of his reality was being kind of distorted, or it was implied that it was tampered with. If you know Donnie Darko, the movie, you'll remember a very specific scene where you will see kind of like a wormhole in front of people's chests, which is what he was seeing. So this predetermined wormhole of energy was operating around the person's body or auric field that was already pulling them in a direction of an impulse before they moved. So when he started to see the world through this type of lens, we started to see Donnie's perception of reality was being changed because he was seeing what was happening before it was playing out. So, for example, when I think it's like a scene where his sister gets up off the couch and she walks to the kitchen from the lounge room to open up the refrigerator to get a drink. There is a predetermined force that is operating before her that is compelling her to do this, which is working in sync with her desire to go and get a drink of water. So when someone starts to go up into high levels of consciousness, what I'm interested in and what I love to do, which is part of where I'm headed now, and I can see that, is, and this is not an ego thing, it's just an observation thing, is that you will start to see the preset determinism of something unfolding before it unfolds, and then know that you're playing a part in that at the same time as you're interacting with it. All right, that's why the law of attraction and manifestation is so powerful. All right, so the thoughts in your head are shaping how you see reality, and reality is interacting back with you in sync or not in sync with this to create an outcome. Okay, so it's really, really interesting stuff. And that's what I guess a lot of this is it's predeterminism of what you agree to. I just wanted to give you those very awesome examples. You'll also notice the whole thing of like divine timing. I will be doing a video talking about that at some stage, about time and itself and how it operates here. I'm learning more about that, and I want to share my findings with time as well. Is that, say for example, you'll often see you will be walking down the street on the side of the road on a footpath, and you will see someone coming towards you and approaching you from the other side of the footpath, and at some point you will both pass each other like two ships kind of passing in the sea. One of the things that I've noticed quite often is at the interception point, I would call it the interception point of when you're walking towards someone, you will notice that there will usually be an obstruction on the footpath. It could be a branch, or it could be a crack in the road. It could be a piece of dog shit. Whatever it is, it'll be something placed there before the moment of you two at that point where the speed that they're traveling when they're walking and the speed that you're traveling when you're walking towards them, you'll often notice these coincidences. And these coincidences happen at what I've come to understand is a junction point. So when the two parties, you pass that person and they pass you, you will often see the obstruction or something that will have to force a change of interaction with the other person, where you both have to work out, I'm going to go this way, you're going to go that way kind of thing. But the timing, if their footsteps were, behind, or if their speed that they were traveling wasn't at that speed that was in compel to your speed, then you'll notice that that moment wouldn't have occurred at that moment with that object. Do you understand where I'm going with this? So when you start to notice this, you'll start to see things that are in sync. You'll start to see double ups. This is also part of us starting to understand that potentially the code of itself here is a matrix of sorts. I'm just going to leave this video here. Leave a comment below if you know what I'm talking about. If you've got an experience that you'd like to share, put it below. I want to know. I'd love to know. And yes, I know more about this and I love it.